All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hustle Hit Never Quit podcast. I'm your host, Coach Nate the Lender, and you know what we're about here: mindset, motivation, mortgages, and the moves to keep you winning in life and in business. Today's episode is about something that doesn't always get the spotlight it deserves: insurance. I know. Insurance doesn't exactly scream exciting, but the truth is, when it comes to protecting your home, your family, your future, it's one of the most important plays you can make. So this one's going to hit home, especially for my Louisiana folks, my real estate family, and anybody out there trying to buy, sell, or keep a home in this crazy insurance market we're living in right now. Because let's be real, in Louisiana, insurance isn't just another line item on a mortgage. It can make or break a deal, and it can make a house affordable or put it just out of reach. And that's why today's episode is pure gold for homeowners, future buyers, and even my real estate pros out there, because we are breaking it all down so you can stop stressing and start strategizing. I've got a powerhouse team with me today: Adriana Zambrano, Hailey from Goosehead Insurance. Adriana's been running her own agency for 4 years now, teaching Insurance 101 to brokerages, showing families the ropes, and doing it all with heart for our community. If there's someone you want in your corner when it comes to protecting your biggest investment, your home, it's Adriana. So buckle up, turn the volume up, and maybe grab a notepad, because Adriana, Hailey, and I are about to give you the tools, tips, and truth about homeowners insurance in Louisiana. Let's jump in. Adriana, Hailey, welcome to the show. Let's go. So let's jump into the nitty gritty. Everybody wants to know. First question always is, how did you get started in insurance, and what made you choose this path?
I got started because I actually wanted a job in marketing, but I ended up looking on Indeed for like jobs, and like nothing really stood out to me. And so I looked online and I was like, okay, I saw this person who was advertising for having your own business. And I was like, okay, that I've always wanted to do, is like have my own business and really be my own boss. And so I interviewed with this girl who was a State Farm agent, and she's 25 years old, and she was like everything that I wanted to be. She was like her own boss, and she made her own schedule, and she made, great money. And so she was like independent, and I was just like, that is who I want to be. And so I was like, let me get started in this insurance industry and see if I can make it there.
Love to hear it. How long were you working with that State Farm agent?
3 years.
3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was the moment when you realized this is exactly what I'm meant to do?
I realized that so whenever I started my own agency 4 years ago, I realized that about a couple months into it, always it's difficult, like starting out, because you never know if like something's going to work out for you. But if you believe and you put in the work and the effort that it takes to get there, you'll see that there's a lot of people that support you and your dreams too. And so I met a lot of really amazing people. And so a couple months into it, I was just like, okay, yes, I'm meant to be here and I can do this.
Let's go. Let's roll. I love to hear it. And like you said, you've been in it for 4 years. What do you think's been your proudest moment so far?
Okay, my proudest moment would probably be, I feel like every year I get prouder and prouder of like the business that I'm building, the team that I'm building, just the people
Shout
that
out
I'm
Hailey.
insuring. Yes. The people that I'm insuring, like I'm just getting prouder every year. So like this past June was my 4-year anniversary, and it was just one of my proudest moments yet.
Love to hear it. What is it that kind of keeps you motivated throughout the swing of things, especially in this Louisiana market? What keeps you motivated to kind of stay involved with the communities and helping families?
Okay, I love Louisiana. Louisiana is my
Go
home.
Tigers.
Yes, born in Baton Rouge, went to LSU. I am all Louisiana. I am for Louisiana going forward too. So, I am very passionate about talent and people staying in Louisiana. And so insurance is like a big part of that, because insurance can really like drive people away to sell their homes because the insurance can be unaffordable. And so I'm trying to help people find more affordability with insurance and hopefully keep them here.
Absolutely. Staying educated, trying to go through the affordability route. That's fantastic. I love to hear it. And Hailey, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and what are you coming to the table with?
Hey, hi guys. So basically, I started working with Adriana, I think exactly a year ago in August. So this first year has been absolutely amazing. I had known Adriana socially. We had mutual friends, and so we actually got to be pretty good friends before I started working with her. And I was just asking her about like what she did, what her schedule was like, what her day-to-day life looked like. And I was fresh out of college, so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go next. And the most important thing for me at that time was putting myself in a really good environment, in a really good workplace. And she mentioned in conversation one day that she was hiring, and I was like, Adriana's the boss of my dreams. Are you kidding? I was like, wait, you're the person that I would get to report to every day? We would get to hang out all the time. I was like, this is actually the best thing ever. Okay, but now teach me about insurance. Like, what's the situation? Like, we're not actually just going to sit around and play patty cake all day. Like, we have work to do. And so just getting to learn from her has been huge. I have learned so much about the industry and so much about not only insurance, but lending, real estate, and so many more things that come with that. And I've really grown to appreciate the knowledge that I have for this industry. And it's made me appreciate the work that we do even more, because on paper, I'm an insurance agent is not the most glamorous statement, right? But actually getting to help people and educate people and potentially change people's lives and livelihoods and their most important assets, like that's a huge thing. And it's something that I think some people can take for granted if they don't have that knowledge about the industry.
Love to hear it. Very fulfilling for sure. Love helping people. Love to hear the dream team y'all got going on right here. What's been one of your favorite memories over the last year working with Adriana and just kind of being out and about in our industry?
Honestly, my favorite memories, other than like we've hit really big milestones, me personally, and Adriana always is so big on celebrating us and our team, me, her, and Talbot. Anytime anything happens with us, she's so big about appreciating it and just taking the time to stop and celebrate. And so I hit a big milestone in June, I think, and actually like hitting that mark and seeing those numbers and like seeing the work pay off for the past year, that was huge. But my all-time favorite memories, I think, is when I very first started and I was studying for my exam, and me and Adriana would wake up early in the morning, pick a coffee shop, and we would sit and cram all day. And she was just like over my shoulder watching all my study materials, and like we're bouncing back and forth questions, and we truly spent so much time together. And I think it was the perfect just intro to be like tossed into the industry. So I will definitely always cherish like the beginning moments of starting to work with her.
Love to hear it. It's all about celebrating the little things each and every day in and day out, to make sure that we can really be grateful for those moments when we really make it big and really help somebody, protect their homes, protect their lives, protect their livelihood. So thank you so much for that, Hailey. We are now going to jump back in. Not your introduction. Hailey, Adriana with Goosehead Insurance, Coach Nate the Lender here, Hustle Hit Never Quit podcast. We are going to jump into 101 next, so stay tuned.
Wow.
Let's go. So we are back in action, letting you know all the ins and outs, Insurance 101, the basics that every homeowner needs to know. Adriana, why is insurance a non-negotiable in home ownership?
Well, not to mention, it is mandatory in a lending process.
Oh,
So if you
yeah,
have
I'm
a
definitely going to
mortgage,
require it.
it's required. So you have to have it. And besides that, it will protect everything that you've built up into that point. You need to have the insurance because let's say one day there is a hurricane and it wipes out your home completely. Where are you going to get the money to rebuild it? I don't know about you, but I don't have 250,000 to 400,000 sitting in my bank. I mean, that would be great. Maybe some people do, but a lot of people, I'd say the majority don't. And so that's where insurance is super important to have.
Very important. Got to have it. Got to have the coverage. What do you think is one of the most common coverage mistakes that a new homeowner makes?
Let's see. Okay. A lot of people are going without right now because insurance is so expensive. And so a lot of people will either increase their deductibles or cut a lot of coverage. And so you gotta, like, you're thinking about the price right now, but you also need to be thinking about the price in the future. Like, let's say your home does, go up in a total loss and you have to rebuild your home. Your deductible is $15,000. Do you have that $15,000 in your pocket to use at the moment? Or your coverage, let's say you didn't have contents coverage on there. So everything inside your home is gone. Do you have the 100,000, or whatever that you had inside of your home to replace all of those belongings?
Yeah, very important. I know a lot of people just kind of get homeowners insurance and think that that's it. But I think it's so important to kind of budget towards what your deductibles actually are. in case that ever does happen, in case that hurricane or disaster or just random act of God happens to you in your home, I think it's very important to kind of educate people and let them know kind of what they should be budgeting towards those deductibles, because some people hear it and they're like, oh, no, I'll never use it. Well, what happens when you do need it?
Exactly. Yeah, no, and you never know exactly whenever a storm's coming, and that's whenever you're thinking about it, and that's whenever you can't think about it because there's something called a moratorium, and you can't change your deductibles at that point.
Ooh, jump in. What's more of that moratorium?
So, moratorium is whenever there's a storm in the Gulf or headed towards us, and the insurance company will stop writing coverage or stop letting you change your coverage on your current policy as well. So that's whenever people get scared and they're like, hey, can I get an insurance policy on my home? Or, hey, can I lower that deductible? And unfortunately, at that point, it's too late.
Too late. You heard it, lady. So don't wait till we got a storm on our way. Be proactive. Contact Adriana. Make sure y'all put that coverage in place beforehand to really make sure that you, your family, your home, your biggest investments protected. So what a lot of people hear about, oh, I need sufficient coverage. What does that actually mean for the new homeowner compared to the homeowner who has 3 properties?
Sufficient coverage. Okay, so for a new homeowner, especially if it's your primary residence, you definitely need to be thinking about all of it. So it's like a standard homeowner's policy. So you got to cover the home, you got to cover everything inside of it. You've got to cover the fence, you've got to cover your loss of use, your liability. These are things that people don't think about, like the liability. Let's say somebody trips and falls on your property. Is that your fault? No, it's not your fault. But is someone going to try to sue you for it? Yes, they
We're
probably
in Louisiana.
will.
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens.
And so that's where the liability comes in, and you have, X amount of liability, usually $300,000 in liability to protect yourself against somebody suing you, against medical expenses and bodily injury, anything like that. So those are like the important things to think about. And then for an investor, I know that it can be, I guess, less coverage that you might want to get. Those are the big things too. So you need to think about covering the home as well as covering your liability. Because if you're renting to somebody could sue you, come after everything that you have. So you need to protect yourself against that.
Absolutely. Protect yourself. Have that sufficient coverage. If you don't know what it is, you know who to reach out to. Adriana Hailey, Goosehead Insurance. Y'all reach out to them and make sure you're covered. What would you say is the biggest difference between price shopping and value shopping?
Okay. So yes, at the beginning of a conversation, I tend to gauge where my client is at, if they're looking for more price saving or value shopping. We tend to do both, and we like to make sure that we look at every single option that we have to give them the best coverage at the price that they can afford. Yes, insurance is expensive right now, but we are still trying to protect them in the best way possible. So if they can afford, a higher deductible in the future, to take that out of their pocket, that's something that we could look at, to decrease the price or decrease some coverages in some parts, but we still look out for the best interest of our client, and we will present every option that we have to make sure that they are fully informed and that they have options, and that we're not just giving them one thing and saying, oh, hey, you have to have this one.
Love to hear it. Yeah, I hear that all the time. Oh, well, my insurance agent said I needed this and they never went over anything else. So I think it's so important. I think it's very inspiring to hear that y'all go over those coverages, make sure everybody knows the difference in their value compared to their price point, because everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to need a little bit something different here, a little bit something there. You never know what their priorities are, and you'll never know if you don't ask. So for me, agents, lenders, how we like to work together to set the right expectation when it comes to closing timelines, insurance that is involved. So for me, I really like to introduce our clients to you on the front end, even before we go under contract, to make sure that we're fishing in the right pond, we have sufficient coverage. What's your kind of take on your relationships that you have with lenders and the buyers? How does that all kind of entail into your day-to-day?
Well, I have really great lender referral partners, like such as yourself, that trust me in order to do the right thing for the client. And so whenever you send me a client, I take that into the utmost responsibility and the utmost importance of making sure that I get a good quote for y'all as in terms of pricing and in coverage. And so, I'll reach out to the client and make sure that, this is something that would be in their ballpark for the price, as well as yourself, because you're the one with the numbers and everything. Everything's got to make sense. So I present it to both of y'all, and we'll see, if those numbers work.
How often do you get a client that comes to you after they've been under contract for 2 weeks? Now they're starting to shop insurance quotes, and then bam, now you hit them with that premium. How often do you get that? And that's kind of like a sticker shock or a price shock for a borrower.
You don't see that very much nowadays. Most people are usually shopping their insurance immediately, either before they put in an offer or right as soon as they put in an offer, because I think the people who are local, who know about, mortgages and insurance and everything, they know that can be wild right now. And so they can, it can make or break a deal. So that's one of the most important things to be looking for at the beginning.
Love to hear it. You real estate agents out there doing your due diligence. Y'all are doing things right, making sure to stay proactive for our buyers in our local market. Y'all know how important it is. Great job, everybody. Cheers to y'all. So speaking of contract, I know we talked about kind of before you go under contract, setting the buyers up for success. What's your thoughts on the people who are in flood zones, not in flood zones? I know we are in New Orleans. So let us know kind of what's been going on in that flood insurance market.
Yeah. So for me, it doesn't really matter if somebody is in a flood zone or not. In Louisiana, we're all in a flood zone. At any point, 50% of flood insurance claims from the National Flood Insurance Program come from Louisiana.
How? Say that again?
50%.
50%
of claims of the
louder for the
entire
people in the back.
United States come from the state of Louisiana. More than 50%, actually.
Some statistics I really don't like to lead in, but damn.
Yes, so we flood a lot. And so the state of Louisiana, you never know, like the flood of 2016 in Baton Rouge, Hurricane Ida, yeah, that was hurricane damage, but most of it was from flooding from the levees. So things like that, they're unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to flood. Even though a map might say that you're in an X zone, doesn't mean that the flood's not going to reach your house.
Okay, let's jump back to that moratorium. When it comes to flood insurance, what are the kind of time standards or restrictions that happen for a borrower who is under contract, but we have a storm coming? How long do they kind of have to either wait, delay, or be restricted before they can get into something like that in comparison to a homeowner who already owns their home, but now they want the insurance?
Okay. So if you are about to go under contract, you need the insurance, because if it's in an AE zone, you will need that flood insurance, and that is immediate. So the day that you close, you will have that insurance.
Can you bind that before closing?
You can bind it before closing if you get the payment on that same day. Sometimes there are moratoriums, but for the most part, you should be good as long as you keep an eye on the storm and you talk to your insurance and say, okay, we should do this as soon as possible. And then as for somebody who already owns their home and then they want to get the insurance, it takes 30 days for the National Flood Insurance Program. So you kind of can't, you don't have that last minute thing. No, because the storm's going to be here in 3 days. You don't have 30 days to wait, right?
30 days, people. 30 days.
Yeah.
It is so important for you to be proactive. You current homeowners out there, the investors out there, please make sure that you protect yourself, protect your investments. Call Adriana to make sure that you have that coverage set in place so you're not out there waiting with no coverage for 30 days in the midst of hurricane season. Please reach out to your girl. All right, about to come right back in action here. We're going to take a little bit of a break. Coming back. See you soon. All right. We are back in action. Sorry we had to answer a couple phone calls. Make sure you all were covered out there. Man, we are jumping right back into communication. How to keep those winning plays going. With the communication between the lender, the agent, the insurance rep, it really makes for a smoother closing. Adriana, what is your best practice for staying aligned with the communication between yourself, the lender, and the borrower?
Okay, so my best form of communication is just usually for the people that I know very well. I have their phone number, text them if anything's wrong, or I'll give them a call and just let them know. And then just making sure that the client gives me their lender information if I don't know who their lender is. That way we're all on the same page. I tell them, hey, the lender is going to need a lot of information for me to finalize this policy. So please put me in touch with the lender, give me their email address, and I'll reach out to them and make sure that we're all on the same page.
So important. Always got to be on the same page. Make sure we're working towards that same goal. What would you give me? Give me a real quick, real life success story where you have an above and beyond communication and teamwork saved the day.
Okay. Okay. So one of my lenders that I work with in Baton Rouge, he had a closing. the client actually had to be on a plane the next day to Canada. So the closing had happened that same day. And he had called me that morning and he was like, hey, we had a problem with the other insurance agent. We need insurance today. Can you do it? And I was like, well, I always answer my phone calls. I'm like, hey, I'm on it. Let me see what I can do, especially for my favorite people. I'm like, I'm on this right now. Let's do it. So I got a quote. And there are companies that do offer same day coverage. So we were able to get that bound at a price that was good for the client as well as good for the lender and everything. We were all on the same page and we got the deal done. And she got to go off to Canada the next day.
Awesome.
Love to hear it. Putting people on a plane, making sure they don't miss out. Same day service. You heard it. Same day with Adriana, Hailey, Goosehead Insurance. Man, talk about saving the day. I wouldn't imagine how that person would have felt having to either miss their flight, delay their flight, or completely just not close. So great job. Kudos to y'all for that for sure. Now let's jump outside of that. Let's jump outside of lending. Let's jump outside of insurance.
Yes.
Adriana, what fuels you outside of insurance? Like, let me know what your passions are.
Okay. So my passions are pretty much being the best that I can be. I have always felt like I have like a greater calling out there than just, insurance. Insurance is not like, my entire life either. I have a life, I have, family, my dogs that I look after. I'd say probably one of my biggest ones that I think about though is like the why behind like why you do this in life is my family. I'd like to eventually be able to like retire my parents, and just provide like a good lifestyle, like where I can travel, all the time. That's one of my biggest things is just traveling. And
Speaking of traveling, all these pictures and stuff that we see out there, is that just filters or like you going to these places?
No, I actually went to those places. Yeah. No, that would be really sad if they were filters.
What's been one of your favorite places that you've kind of traveled to in the last, say, 2 years?
My favorite place, let's see. Okay, so in the last 2 years, I went to Turkey, and then I did a lot of like domestic traveling. So I went to San Diego, one of the most beautiful places in the United States. Miami, another one of the most beautiful places in the United States. And Houston.
Coast to coast.
Yes. Houston, and then I've been to, like, before that, we went to Italy. So, yeah, a bunch of different places. I'd say Italy is definitely in my top 3 for sure.
Top tier. Love to hear it. And then, Hailey, let's jump into you. What fuels you outside of the insurance, the business? What kind of keeps you going? Let us know a little bit about what your passions are outside of normal business.
Okay. Let's see. So growing up, I was an athlete, and so athletics have always been a big part of my life. I am now retired.
Well, what sports? Toot your horn. Let's get into that.
So I was a beach volleyball player. I started playing indoor volleyball when I played every sport under the sun when I was growing up. My dad is very competitive. He was my coach. That whole spiel, that was me. I played collegiate beach volleyball for LSU and for South Carolina. Go Gamecocks.
Go Tigers. I don't know what you're talking about, but Gamecocks today for you. Okay.
We'll figure that out later this year. Don't worry. So yeah, it was a big part of my life. I played in college for 5 years, and by the time I graduated, I was like ready to hang up. We didn't wear cleats, but ready to hang up the cleats for lack of better words. And so now I'm still super involved in the beach volleyball community. All of my closest friends are out there all the time. My husband plays all the time. And so that's definitely something that I'm not passionate about in that I'm actively in it, but I mean, all of my favorite people in the world are in it. So that means a lot to me. I was also a fashion merchandising major when I was in college, and the fashion industry is just something that I've always been so passionate about. I've started a blog. I keep up with fashion weeks every year, and I just really try to be as involved and up to date in that industry as I possibly can, just because I love it so much. So
we couldn't tell. Look at the threads on these ladies. If y'all are checking us out, YouTube video, look at the threads. They are always styling for sure. So thank you very much for the tips.
Of course.
Let's jump into some of Louisiana's insurance pain points. So last year, nearly 19% of home contracts in New Orleans were canceled due to insurance obstacles. What do you think was one of the biggest obstacles contributing to those cancellations?
Insurance prices can be ridiculous, and especially in some areas more than others. And so No, it had to be the insurance prices.
What is one of the biggest things that you think contributes towards a spike in premium?
Location.
Location?
Location. I feel like location is a huge one. There's some parts of New Orleans, the greater New Orleans area, that are extremely high in prices.
What would you say to somebody who is kind of basing their decision off of what a current homeowner is paying in insurance, but the new buyer might not have as good a credit?
Yeah, and that's something that people ask me all the time. They're like, "Well, the current homeowner has a policy for 4,000. Why are you quoting me a policy for 8,000?" Well, there's a couple different things. Probably because that insurance company is not selling the same policies anymore. They're not selling at the same rates anymore. The replacement cost has gone up higher, or it might be a personal thing too. It might be the insurance score. With insurance score ties into credit score, it ties into your claims history, and so that might be, a reason why your insurance is higher.
And I think that's so important. So many people do not realize that. They don't understand that your credit score, your credit profile also contributes to what your premium can be. So, I mean, just another tick off the box is, I mean, obviously with me, with mortgages, the credit is so important and people are so oblivious and just don't know what they don't know. So right now we got to tell them, man, take care of that credit to make sure that you're getting the best that you can on that insurance premium. And I know just now you touched on replacement cost. What is that? Replacement cost compared to actual cost? Let's go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off for everybody today.
Okay, so I get this asked this question every single day, multiple times a day. So replacement cost, it's huge. The replacement cost is how much it costs the insurance company to rebuild your home from the ground up. And that includes
Ooh, say that again louder for the people in the back.
yeah, so it is in how much the insurance company costs to rebuild your home up from the ground up. So it includes debris removal, it includes labor, it includes the material and all of that. And every year you'll see the material rising as well as cost and labor and lumber and everything. So yes, it's more expensive every year to replace your home. And the replacement cost can be different than what the price of the home that you're purchasing is. Like, let's say you're purchasing a home in Lakeview and it's, a $700,000 home and the replacement cost is coming back at like 900,000. Let's just say that. Well, they are going according to the square footage of the home, according to the year built, the roof age, also the materials that are built, if it's elevated or not. All of these factors will contribute into the replacement cost. And we kind of can't change the replacement cost on a lot of these insurance companies. We have to go by what they say.
Copy that. Very important. So that'll go ahead and answer some of those questions when you're reading it and you see what your dwelling is, compare the replacement costs, actual costs. If you don't know what it is, call Adriana, call Hailey, make sure they can square that away for you and let you know exactly what kind of coverage you have. Let's jump into some legal matters. Let's see. Legislation now requires a 60-day notice for policy on renewals. This is up from 30 days, including a grace period for surviving spouses. Have you ever seen this renewal period kind of affect somebody and how they were trying to do things?
Yes, this happened to me whenever I first started in insurance. I started 2021. I started in 2021. A couple months after I started, Ida hit, and then there were a very limited amount of companies that were selling policies, if any at all. The ones that we were really mostly selling was Louisiana citizens policies. And besides that, a lot of people were being dropped from the insurance company. And so that, along with only being able to sell Louisiana citizens policies, it was a mess. It was a nightmare. People were being dropped from insurance companies because their companies went under. They went bankrupt and they were unable to pay claims. So it went to the state to pay the claims for them. That was a 30-day wait, like a 30-day notice that they got, most of these people. And so it was a scramble for not only like the clients, but all the insurance agents involved too. Everybody was trying to get their home protected because never know when the storm's going to hit next.
It's a scramble. I'm sure
Yeah.
you were burning the midnight oil at that point for sure.
Yes, for sure.
And then Louisiana Department of Insurance, we had a couple trends recently. Were they approved of several rate reductions this year?
Okay, yes. You know what? I know that Progressive had a rate decrease recently for auto insurance.
Heard that.
Yes, so that one was really exciting.
How about fortified homes and grant expansions? How is that helping things out?
fortified homes? That's the future. We're all gonna have fortified roofs eventually, fingers crossed, because fortified roofs, they really are so much better than regular roofs. The reason why is because fortified roofs are waterproof. So even if your roof rips off, the whole like deck of your home, like the top deck, is going to be covered with like this waterproof material that they put on. And that's where most of the claims money really lies, is in the water damage that water does to your home, not the roof ripping off.
And I know around here we've had some grants out there with up to $10,000 for fortified roofs and whatnot. For somebody who is getting a fortified roof in comparison to your normal traditional roof, about on average, how much is that kind of saving them in premium?
It really depends, but I would say anywhere from 10 to 25%.
Heard that. 10 to 25%. That can be huge, especially on a big home like we were just talking about in Lakeview. I mean, you could fortify the roof, save 10 to 25% on a premium like that. You now got some groceries or some gas money. I know that for sure. All right, Adriana, as we're starting to wrap some things up here, let's debunk a couple of myths. Let's jump into the first one that people say all the time. Flood insurance isn't needed if you're elevated. What's your response?
I'd say look at the history of all the things that have happened recently, especially like the flooding that happened in Texas this past year. Last year, the flooding that happened in North Carolina. The flooding that happened here in our backyard in Katrina. The flooding that happened in Baton Rouge. These are events where it doesn't matter if your home is elevated. You're still going to get water inside your home.
Still getting water.
If it's a lot of rain, it's going to be a lot of
Get
water
that
in your
coverage.
home.
Get that coverage. How about this one? If covered once, you can't switch policies easily. How easy is it to kind of switch policies?
It's super easy. It depends on the policy that you have, but most of them you can switch at any time, and they are required by law to send you back any unused premium. So if you find a better policy with better coverage and better rate, just let your current insurance company know that you'll be canceling with them and to return you back any unused premium.
Absolutely. Let them know. Let your mortgage company know, especially if you're in escrow. All of that needs to be taken care of, especially if you just paid a premium through your escrow account. Make sure that you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's, because on my end, once we switch that, from my understanding, those agencies are responsible to get you that premium back within 30 days.
Yes, they can get you back that premium, and then what you'll need to do is put that premium back into your escrow account, and then call in to your mortgage company and ask for an escrow analysis. And then they can do that for you and tell you what your new mortgage payments are going to be.
Escrow analysis. Those are the key words. Make sure you ask that from your servicer so you know exactly what you need to be expecting paying that new mortgage note once you get better insurance coverage with Goosehead and Adriana and Hailey. Make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. As we are wrapping things up, Adriana, Hailey, give me one piece of advice for homeowners that are listening today.
I'd say always shop. It never hurts. So definitely make sure to work with a broker like myself who can shop with different options and can get you the best price and best coverage.
What would you say is the most underrated insurance tip out there?
Let's see. The best tip I have, I would just say if you're buying a new home, start shopping as early as possible for insurance.
Okay. Let's see. What is one thing you wish everybody knew before buying insurance?
I wish that people knew, what their risk profile is. Are they more of a risky person or less of a risky person? And whenever that comes to time to like file a claim, what you picked at the beginning for your policy is what you're going to be getting. So if you decided to, skip on coverage or, to save money at that point, just remember in the future, you might have to eat that policy, like eat that premium, not at that point, but in the future, so.
All right. And let's see. Last one here. This goes for Hailey or Adriana, whoever wants to take it. What is the biggest insurance myth that you'd bust?
Biggest insurance myth that I would bust would have to be, honestly, this falls back. I think it's just hitting harder because we are in Louisiana. And I know we already talked about it, but just because you are not required to have flood insurance does not mean you shouldn't get it. And just because you're not in a flood zone does not necessarily mean that your flood insurance is going to be cheaper. That's my biggest thing, is always, always, always protect yourself. We live in Louisiana. Like, it's going to happen. Things like this happen more often than we would hope. And then the biggest tip overall is really just educate yourself. And then you'll never have to debunk anything because you'll already know.
Speaking of education, man, speaking of flooding, what would you say are the two leading contributors to that flood insurance premium?
So definitely the location. And honestly, that could be as generalized as location as in I'm very close to the water, or it could be location as in I am in this zip code or this parish. So that's huge. And then the second thing I would say is structurally, how your home is built, the elevation, and even things like wind mitigation, things like that can also help with your flood insurance. So structurally, if your home is sound, if your home is raised, things like that, and then also the location of the home.
Love to hear it. Thank you so much for those tidbits. And as we're wrapping things up, give the people a final brief word, quote, paragraph, whatever. Give them some encouragement for buyers, agents, and anyone listening.
Okay, I got it, then you got it, Adriana. Okay, my biggest tip, I'll say it 1,000 times, knowledge is power. Knowledge is safety. Knowledge is your insurance. Always ask any questions. Know your policy in and out. Know what you're paying for. It's expensive, and you need to know where your money's going, and you need to know what to do if something terrible happens. You need to be able to protect yourself and your loved ones and your assets and all of that good stuff. So knowledge is power. Learn. You can never stop learning about insurance and everything else in life. So.
Adriana, you're up next, and I love that because I've always said if you're not learning, you're not living. So keep filling that cup up, all the knowledge, all the education you can. Adriana, leave the people with the little words of encouragement here for us.
It's going to be okay. Just have an insurance agent as your best friend. Give them a call. It doesn't matter how many homes you're looking at. You can send it our way, the home that you're looking at, to make sure that we get you a good price and good coverage, and that it fits all your numbers if you're purchasing a home. If you already have a home, still reach out to us. We can make sure that you're still best protected in the best spot, because a lot of the times people will send me their declarations pages and I just look over them and just tell them, like, this is the kind of policy you have. I just want to make sure that you're aware of the coverages that you have and the price that you're paying, because we do have other options, but just want to make sure that you know what you have on your policy.
Don't know what that was, but I meant to go bing, ding, ding. So other than that, man, we are here. We are wrapping things out. Adriana, let the people know, how should they contact you? How should they reach out? How can they find you?
Okay, first off, follow me on social media at adriana.insurance, Adriana with one N. And you should give me a call, 504-584-7218. Text me at that number, and my email. Email is key too, adriana.zambrano@goosehead.com.
Adriana, Hailey, thank y'all so much for dropping absolute gold today. For anybody who wants to connect with her, I know if you weren't jotting it down, we're going to have all her links in the show notes. So don't wait until you're in a bind. Reach out, get your coverage right the first time. And to everybody listening, remember, success in home ownership isn't just about getting the keys. It's about protecting what's inside those walls. So hustle to learn, hit with action, and never quit on your future. See y'all soon.